Howdy diddly do, you frickin' frickers. It's me, Python. And today, I'm gonna be doing a freaking tier list of all the RC-505 MkII Loopstation effects. If you wanna do the same tier list that I'm doing, I'll have it in the description. Okay? Okay. Now enjoy the freaking video. Alright, so first we have the low pass filter, or LPF, as the cool kids say. So basically what this freaking thing does, it takes all your sounds and it makes them real low. If you want to do some vocals, LPF is the way to go. Just slap one on there and boom. I think I'm going to give LPF good old A tier. Alright, so next up we got HPF, or the high pass filter. So this only lets the high frequencies go through. And this is really good effect. It can make drums, all sorts of things. All the possibilities of the HPF are endless, man. It can make snares, kicks. So I think I'm going to give that good old classic A tier. All right, next up, we have the beat pass filter, or the BPF. Basically works the same way as the low pass or the high pass, but instead of it being lower frequency or higher frequency that I cut off, this is around the frequency. I mean, it's okay, but like, you can pretty much get whatever you need with the low pass or the high pass. So I think I'm just going to put this in a classic C tier. All right, so next up, we have the phaser. The phaser is pretty cool. Like, it adds a little bit of texture to a sound. Like, it's really useful on synths, all sorts of melodies. It works really well on bass lines too. This is me without a phaser. This is me with a phaser. It's pretty cool. One of my favorite examples of the phaser is in Falling Down by SpaceG. Yeah, it's just a pretty cool effect. I'm gonna give it a B tier. Not as useful as the filters, but it's better than BPF. All right, next up we got flanger. Flanger, I don't even remember how it works. It's like some sort of delay, but it makes things go like. It adds like this sound to whatever sound you're doing. It's just like a little extra thing. Here, look. This is me without the flanger. This is me with the flanger. There's a lot of creative ways to use it. You could sequence the pitch. You could change the rate. It's pretty cool. I would rank it another good old B tier. So next up, we got synth. And this, I mean, there's a lot of people who like synth. Like Justin. You know Justin? He loves synth. It can make some pretty cool sounds, but it's just freaking weird how it just goes like, ew. It can make some good textures, but I do not like it. I'm just gonna put it in a good old D tier. No awful yet. Alright, so next up, we got lo-fi. Lo-fi is a pretty good effect. It can make yoi bass, and it can make the lo-fi snare, or MH snare. And that's pretty much the two main uses you're gonna see with lo-fi. I think I'm gonna give this a nice old B tier effect. Next up, we got radio. All this thing really does is make it sound like you're talking on a telephone, and it's not really that useful. That's all it's really used for. So for that, I'm just gonna put it in D, not C, D tier. Alright, next up, we got ring mod. Now this is kind of cool, man. It just adds a little ringy. You can make it high, you can make it low, you can make it yoi. I don't personally use it that much. I don't really know how to use it. But it's there, and there's a lot of people who do like to use it. I think I'm going to give this B or C. I'm just going to say C tier. All right, next up we got guitar to bass, or as we MkIIers like to call it, G2B. So basically this is just an MkI effect. All you really do, it makes your voice sound bassy. No G2B? This is G2B. It could be kind of cool, but like there's way better freaking ways to make basses. G2B is just gonna give it a D. It's not the best anymore. Next up, we got sustainer. We love sustainer. Just adds punch. It adds punch. It turns your into a this thing is crazy good. It's used on kicks. You can use it on snares. You can even use it on like a melody if you wanted to, just to make it a little bit louder or a little bit more punchier. So I think I'm just gonna give this a good old B tier. Actually, A tier. This is an A tier. Next up, we got auto riff. Oh, I know you guys hate the auto riff, but I'm gonna tell you, auto riff is freaking underrated, man. There's some cool crap you can do with this. You take a fast sequence, you put it in a slow auto riff. Pretty cool things you can do with it. I know a lot of you guys are gonna freaking hate me for this, but I'm gonna put it in C tier and not awful. Because screw you. You all suck. I am the best looper ever. Alright, next up, we got slow gear. So basically, this just makes things you like. Starts quiet, gets loud, like. But I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it with tremolo. Come on, man. Slow gear, I'm going to give you freaking awful. You suck. Alright, next up, we got transpose. Does exactly what you think it does. Transposes things to different notes. Makes it higher or lower, plus 12 or minus 12. And you could sequence it. It's really good at making melodies. Almost every granular delay melody is going to be used with transpose. Transpose, A tier effect, baby. Alright, next up, we got pitch bend. This is just transpose, but you can make it even higher or bend it in between. I know there's probably a lot of people who use this a lot, but I am not one of them. I am normal. I like my notes to be in tune. So you are going to get a C tier, Mr. Pitchbend. Next up, we got robot. Who the frick uses robot? This literally just turns anything into one singular note and stays on one note. I mean, it's kind of cool if you're going to use it. Robot plus transpose. Robot plus transpose. Yeah, this is amazing. I love robot and I love transpose. I think I'm just going to give it a nice little C tier. It's okay. All right, next up, we got electric, or as non-loopers like to say, auto-tune. It's exactly what it sounds. It auto-tunes your voice. I think I'm just going to give it let's give it a B tier. All right, next up, we got harmonizing things. We love harmonies. Yeah! Harmony manual, you pick your key, you pick your interval, and boom, you're all set. Pretty good effect. Give it a B tier. Next up, we got harmony auto, which is just the worst version of harmony manual. So I'm just going to give you a D tier because pretty much everything you do, manual does better, okay? Unless you're freaking tone deaf. Looking at you, Jonathan. Next up, we got vocoder. This is another thing that MkIIers really like. This is basically their version of bounce. I mean, it's kind of cool, but there's some better things you can do, so I'm going to give this a C tier. By the way, while we're at it, I'm going to move HPF up to S tier because HPF is just... We love HPF. Next up, we got Ospot. We love Ospot. It's in all of our favorite melodies. We got Robin, we got KBA, we got Mate, anyone you can think of. They all use freaking Ospot. It can make bass lines, it can make melodies, it can make high pitch, everything you want. It's got a great sequencer too. Ospot, you are a perfect S tier effect, other than the fact that you usually sound like garbage, but you could fix that with EQ, or our next effect, preamp. This is just gonna make your things go like ba-da-do into ba-da-do-do-do-do. Makes it basically more distorted. You can control the high pitches, the middle pitches, the low pitch. You got all sorts of like speaker and mic types. It's pretty cool. It's really good. Basically a better version of EQ. Unless you're really good at EQ, then it's a very bad version of EQ. But preamp is pretty good. It makes your Ospot sound really not. It makes him sound better than stupid. So I'm going to give preamp little A tier. Distortion is basically the same thing as preamp. You can't control your high, middle, and low. So I'm just going to give it an A tier just because it has some different sounds that preamp. It's basically the same thing. Next up, we got dynamics. also known as EQ presets. I mean, I don't really use dynamics a whole lot, but they're really good. I think I'm just gonna give them a D tier, you know, D for dynamics, you know. Next up, we got EQ. EQ, amazing. We love EQ. You can control your highs, your lows. If you know anything about music, you know what EQ is. EQ, you are just too useful. You are going in S. Just kidding, you're going in A because you're not that useful. But you're really good at mixing things. Isolator, what the heck does isolator do? I mean, if you're really good at sound design, maybe you use this. But I'm not that good at sound design, so freaking D tier. Now we got freaking octave. Oh boy. The only good example I can think of octave is in Brez's GBB wildcard. It's kind of weird. It's not that useful. But one of my tracks, I actually use this thing. See, listen to this melody. Pretty cool, huh? Now watch as I add octave to it. Basically, it can add lower octaves. It doesn't do higher or... It's okay, man. A lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I'm just going to give this a nice C tier. Next up, we got AutoPan. AutoPan is cool. AutoPan makes it some mono. Now you got left and right, and you can go wee with your AutoPan. AutoPan, a lot of people love this thing. Really good for crashes. Oh, that's something I forgot to mention about lo-fi. You can use it for crashes. You don't know what a crash is? Here's a clip of it right now. So AutoPan, you're gonna go in B tier. AutoPan. Manual pan, you're just freaking garbage. I hate you. All you do is make it left or right. You don't even automate it. You don't even have a rate. You're just manual. You just make things left or right. You just turn your knob left or right. Look, I can even do a stupid example. Watch this. Never mind, I can't really do an example because I'm recording mono right now and panning doesn't work. But anyways, manual pan, you go and freaking awful. No, you're okay. Yeah, D tier. D tier it is. Next up, we got stereo enhance. Now, we beatboxers, we don't really use stereo enhance a whole lot unless I'm just really stupid. Basically, this makes it mono and then boom. Your big stereo. Now you got a whole atmosphere. You could choose how far front or how far back you want it in your ear. It's pretty cool. Don't use it a whole lot. I'm just gonna give it a C tier. Next up, we got tremolo. I love tremolo, man. I love tremolo. It just goes like and then turns it into a It's really good. It's a really amazing effect. It cuts things out at the rate, the waveform, all you wanted. You can even sequence this thing. It's really freaking good. I think I'm going to give this one an S tier. Good job, tremolo. We love you, tremolo. Next up, we got vibrato. Nobody uses vibrato unless you're plastic. You go to D tier. Next up, we got step slicer. Or if you don't know looping, you probably call this a chopper. So a step slicer is going to turn this into this. You can sequence your step. You can change your volumes. It's a pretty cool effect. I'm going to give this a B tier. It's really good. You can even use this. This is how 808 Bannon does his start and stop technique. Sorry, 808 Bannon. So I think I'm just going to give Step Slicer a B tier. Why'd I put my headphones on? Next up, we got Pattern Slicer. Just a version of Step Slicer, but there's presets. Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. If you're being lazy, don't want to sequence your Step Slicer, there's probably something in Pattern Slicer, but usually there's not. So I'm just going to give this a C because having a sequencer on the Step Slicer is really nice. Alright, next up, we got Delay, which is basically like an echo thing. I don't really know how to describe it. Delay is pretty good, pretty decent. I'm just gonna give it a nice solid C tier. Next up, we got pan delay. which is delay's older, cooler brother. What this thing does, this delays it. It's the exact same thing as delay, but it delays in your left ear, right ear, left ear, right ear. It's a cool pattern. It's freaking amazing. It sounds amazing. I'm going to give you an A tier. You are way better than delay. Sorry guys, I forgot to talk about OSVOC. It's basically the same thing as OSPA, but you need a launch pad to use it. It can do sequences longer, and the detune saw is really garbage, but I'm just going to give it an S anyways because it's really cool. Alright, next up we got reverse delay. I don't even remember what this one does, honestly. I'm just going to give it a D because D for delay, you know. Next up we got... Buddy, do not bark on my YouTube video, okay? This is my YouTube video, not yours. Okay, go. Bye. The dog gets D tier, the dog gets D tier. Next up, we got mod delay. What the hell does mod delay do? It's just the same thing as delay. Awful. Alright, now we got tape echo 1. I don't even know what it is. Alright, now we got tape echo 2. I don't even know what it is. Oh. Grand delay, granular delay. Yes! Yes! Oh, I love granular delay. Oh. Play the sideshow clip. Play the sideshow clip. That is granular delay. That's granular delay. Granular delay. Oh, freaking awesome! S tier. Next up, we got warp, or as I like to call it, warp. What the frick does warp do? Actually, what does warp freaking do? So it does that. One of the worst effects ever. I've never used this once. Now we got twist. If you're a non-looper, you don't know what twist is. You know what twist is. This is that thing that goes, This is the thing that makes my voice go, You know, it's used in every build-up ever. It's pretty essential sound if you want to do build-ups. Twist, I'm going to give you a B tier. Next up, we got roll 1. Basically, this repeats whatever sound you're recording or playing. It does playings too. For a certain amount of times, or a feedback you might call it. You get 0 to 100 feedbacks, and then it fades away. It's pretty decent, but like, why would you not just use delay or pan delay or anything better? You're okay, but like, I'm just gonna put you in D tier. Now we have roll 1's cooler older brother. Roll 2. So the difference between roll 1 and roll 2 is that instead of having a feedback, you have a repeat amount, which is how many times you want to repeat it, and it never fades away. It just stops when the counter is done. You could set half, fourth, whatever sort of timing you want. This is kind of the perfect way to repeat drums. Like, this is going in A tier. Next up, we got freeze. That was the worst thing I've ever heard. What would anyone even use freeze for? This is a freaking awful sound. Next up, we got chorus. You know what chorus is. Come on, if you don't know what chorus is, this is a classic musical effect. You're either A or B. B tier. B tier. I'm doing it. B tier. Alright, so next up we got reverb! You can't hate it. Everyone loves reverb. Makes things sound smooth and nice. Reverb. Reverb, you're going in B tier, my dude. Okay, now we got gate reverb. What's the difference between gate reverb and reverb? I have no freaking idea. You go in D tier. You are really stupid. Next up, we got reverse reverb. It's reverb, but in reverse. You go in C tier. Oh boy, we're on to our last 4 effects. These effects are really special. These only exist on your track effects. Hey! First up, we got beat scatter. Beat scatter is really cool. This is how people chop their vocals. It can shift melodies around. It's amazing. Beat scatter is the best out of these 4 effects, and nobody can tell me otherwise. You are going in A tier. Next up, we have beat repeat. Beat repeat, it does exactly what it sounds. It repeats your beat. It's pretty nifty, but it's also really freaking buggy, and it sucks. Beat repeat, you're okay, but if I want to do what you're doing, I'm using roll 2. Beat repeat, you are going in D tier just because you are kind of useless. Roll 2 is way better than you. Next up, we got beat shift. How do you use beat shift? Beat shift is kind of like a time machine, but for... What do you use beat shift for? Like, for real. Awful. Finally, we have last effect. Vinyl flick. Here's a vinyl flick. Here's a vinyl flick. And here's a vinyl flick. There's vinyl flicks everywhere. Yeah, but I don't really use vinyl flick too much, so you're just gonna go in C tier. You know what vinyl flick is. And with that, that concludes my amazing, super duper Loopstation effect tier list. If you want to disagree, do it in the comments where I can delete your comment. Okay, bye.